Good morning, Year 10 students. So today we're going to look at English subject selection information for 2021. Some acronyms and some terms are listed below. QCE, Queensland Certificate of Education. That's something we should all aspire to achieve by the end of high school. ATAR, Australian Tertiary Admissions Rank. That's something that's going to be really important for those students that want to go to university straight out of high school. QCAA, Queensland Curriculum and Assessment Authority. So this is a governing body that tells us what to teach and how to assess it. So 2 English subjects you have to make a decision about for your senior schooling are General English and Essential English. So General English is for those students that want the ATAR pathway and that have the goal of going to university straight out of high school. Essential English is for those students that are aspirational to work in the field of a certain trade. So some prerequisites for English. So things you have to be able to be successful in each of these subjects. All Year 10s have studied English since you started school. But some of the prerequisites are applied to ensure that you select an English course in which you have the most capability to be really successful in. So, to study any general subject in senior, you should have achieved a minimum of a high C standard in English in Year 10. So, if you're currently in Year 10 English and you're achieving an A or a B and you want to study general English, that's a really good option for you. If you're a C student but you still want to study general English because you want to go to university after high school, then I highly encourage you to talk to your teacher about if they feel that you will be able to cope with the rigour that's involved with general English in senior. So here's our general English structure. So in grade 11, 2021, so next year, you'll study 2 units, Unit 1 and Unit 2. And in grade 12 in 2022, you'll study Unit 3 and Unit 4. So in Unit 1, grade 11, we look at perspectives and text. We look at examining and creating perspectives in text, responding to a variety of non-literary and literary texts, creating responses for public audiences and persuasive text. In Unit 2, we look at texts and cultures, examining and shaping representations of cultures in text, responding to literary and non-literary texts, including a focus on Australian text, creating imaginative and analytical text. In grade 12 in Unit 3, we go on to do textual connections. So we explore connections between texts. We examine different perspectives of the same issue in text and shape our own perspectives. Create responses for public audiences and persuasive text. And in Unit 4, we do a closed study of literacy text. So engaging with literary texts from diverse times and places such as Shakespeare. And we respond to these texts creatively and critically. And we create imaginative and analytical texts. So when we look at our general Year 11 units and the assessment, we do 4 pieces of assessment over Year 11. So one sort of each term. So in Unit 1, there's 2 pieces of assessment, and in Unit 2, there's 2 pieces of assessment. So in Unit 1, the first piece of assessment is a summative internal assessment. So it's an exam, and it's an analytical written response. So you study a novel and you respond by analysing it under exam conditions. The second assessment piece is a summative internal assessment, which is an extended response. It's a written response for a public audience. So it's like a feature article. So we study usually a novel and you create a feature article. In Unit 2, Semester 2 is a summative internal assessment. So it's an extended response, an imaginative written response, so like a narrative. So you study poetry, you look at the themes, and you create a short story. And the fourth assessment piece in Year 11 is a summative internal assessment, which is an extended persuasive spoken response. So it's a speech. So you look at a social movement and you create a multimodal presentation. In General English Year 12, in Unit 3, Semester 1, you do 2 pieces of assessment, and in Unit 4, you do 2 pieces of assessment. So 4 pieces over Year 12. So the first summative internal assessment is an extended written response for a public audience. So it's a literary article similar to the one you did in Year 11. And you study a novel, and you study a film, and you write a response. The second piece of assessment is an extended response. It's a persuasive spoken. So this is where you look at a social issue similar to Year 11 once again, and you create a persuasive response to that. In Unit 4, Semester 2, you look at doing a summative internal assessment, which is an imaginative written response. So once again, looking at poetry, looking at the themes, writing a narrative, a story. And then at the end of the Year 12, you do a summative external assessment. So this is where we study Shakespeare, and you set an analytical written response similar to the very first piece of assessment in Year 11, where you have to analyse a text and respond accordingly to a question. Now, the difference in Year 11 and Year 12 is this external assessment is actually created by the QCAA and marked by the QCAA. So the school and your teacher will not be involved in the actual grading of that assessment. So as you can see, each piece is worth 25%. So it's really, really important that you put in your best effort and you do really, really well in those first 3 pieces of assessment that are created by the school, marked by the teachers, so that when you go into that external exam, you're in a really good position to do well. So our essential English structure is below. So similar to general, you do 4 units over 2 years. So in grade 11, you do unit 1 and 2, and in grade 12, you do unit 3 and 4. So in unit 1, we look at language that works. So we respond to a variety of texts and sort of in a work context. So what it's like to be out there in the workforce. And we create a multimodal response to that. In Unit 2, we look at different texts and human experiences. So we reflect on non-fiction texts, we explore human experiences, and we create spoken and written tasks to that. In Unit 3 in grade 12, we look at language that influences. So we look at how texts create and shape perspectives on the community, local and global issues. And we respond to those and see how they influence and impact audiences. In Unit 4 is representations and popular culture texts, and we respond to popular culture. So we create representations of Australian identities, places, events, and concepts. So in Essential Year 11 units and assessment, let's have a look at it. So in Unit 1, Semester 1, we do a summative internal assessment. So it's an extended spoken sign response, like a multimodal oral presentation. You can actually record it and present it to your teacher. You don't necessarily have to present it in front of the class, but that's a choice you can have as well. The summative internal assessment, the IA2, is a common internal assessment, which is a short response. So this is an assessment that the QCAA write, and we don't get to see it as teachers. We don't know what's on it as a school. We get sent it 2 weeks prior to you sitting the exam at school. So it's a short response to a text where you have to respond in a manner that highlights how it positions the audience. In Unit 2, Semester 2, There is a summative internal assessment, which we do like a film study, and we do another multimodal presentation, either live or recorded, where we respond to a character's ordeals through that film. In the fourth piece of assessment in Unit 2, we also look at film or TV, and we create an extended written response, which is in the form of like a blog online. Each piece of assessment is worth 25%. So, how to find out more about subjects? So, you can ask your teachers, you can talk to me, the head of department, you can talk to the guidance officer, and really importantly, make sure you talk to your parents. So we really look forward to you making great choices for your senior pathways. And if you have any questions or concerns, please email me and I will respond to you really, really quickly to help you out. Thanks. Bye.